What's up, Church Media Pros? Today I want to talk about how to troubleshoot your live stream when using ATEM switchers. Check it out. Welcome back to Church Media Pro. My name is Aaron Ward, and on this channel we talk about all things church media production and advertising. And this episode is brought to you by Friedrich's Coffee, guys. If you're into coffee and media production just like I am, go over to friedrichscoffee.com. Order yourself a 12-ounce bag of freshly roasted to order, in fact, doesn't sit on a shelf, coffee, specialty coffee, flavored coffee, decaf. There's tea, there's coffee brewing items over there, guys. Check it out. Your live stream, anything beyond if you are needing to troubleshoot. First of all, guys, if you don't see this, it means that you are not connected properly to your ATEM device. Now, I am actually in my office down the street from my church, but I'm on the same network because we beam our Wi-Fi signal, our Ethernet signal over point to point. So I'm able to connect to my church's ATEM right now. I'm not going to mess with this too much. I know there's nothing going on at the church, but I just want to, I don't know, I can't see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to keep my hands off for the most part, but I do want to show you some things. First of all, if you don't see this, go up to connections and check your connections. Make sure your IP addresses are correct. Sometimes there's a connection, there's an ATEM setup here. You can go to the ATEM switcher name. We do have a couple of those that aren't popping up right now, but the manual IP address is what the reason why I'm able to connect via our point-to-point system here. So hit connect if you're not connected. If it doesn't show up, make sure that you have a USB cable directly to your ATEM. The most used computer that you have on your network or in your system should always have a USB to your switcher so that you can manually do any sort of switching and software updates and these sorts of things. Sometimes you'll open this up and it'll say, hey, we need to update your firmware right now. And that can be a sort of a panic situation. Make sure to open this up, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour if you can before your service to make sure these things are all set up and ready to go. And now, before I even talk about troubleshooting too much, I want to make sure that you know that there's a way to save your settings, guys. So we use a Luma key. We use ProPresenter as our key and fill source so we can get our lyrics underneath, or overlaid on our worship set and our notes from our messages overlaid. So if you want to check out how to do that, I have another video and I'll link that in the description below. But to do that, you have to have this on-air button on so that you have your Luma key show up. And we're doing an upstream key rather than a downstream key. So this is where you would put the upstream key. If you had a downstream key, you could do these on-airs back here. But you'll want to have whatever fill and key source ready to go. This is our ProPresenter feed right here that goes to be those Luma key overlays. So one thing you can do is go to File and Save, and then Save As. And this is the best way to do it because this will not only save all your camera inputs and your labeling, guys. We have a ProPresenter, we have a front of house camera, we have a couple of rovers, we have wide and side cameras as well. And then also you'll want to notice that we have none of our cameras are sending audio. We're sending audio via XLR actually, and I could take this down too and turn that off because it's not necessary. But we're using our XLRs from an X32 mixer in the same room as our switcher, and it's going in XLR. And then you just have your master up as well. I could turn this off, and then you can go and File, Save As, and then anytime you have like a power outage or you need to cycle the power on your switcher, it's a good idea to go up here, File, and hit Restore, and then it'll give you, those save files are like XMLs or something on wherever you want to save them, and then you can recall them through the restore process. So that's the best thing to do when you have a power outage, is just to check that first, because sometimes you'll reopen this and everything will be turned on. You might hear some audio from your cameras, which you don't want typically, unless you're sending a mixer feed to your camera and running your audio into your ATEM through an HDMI cord or SDI, I would highly recommend just turning them all off and sending a dedicated mix from a mixer through an XLR into the ATEM, especially if you have an ATEM that has XLR inputs like the one we have, the 4K Pro. And then, yeah, so if this is popping up and you don't see a video, if you have, we have two ATEMs, we have each one of them with a monitor out going, the multi-view, so that we can see everybody, all the cameras, multi-views, all the program and preview guys. But still, if you're not seeing anything on your screens, the next thing to do is check your connections. So go to your ATEM, make sure all the physical connections are properly set. It can be a mess back there, guys. Try to do some cable management as best as possible, but I do recommend having it in a place where that you can check to make sure all the connections are not halfway disconnected or need to be just adjusted or reconnected. Sometimes just resetting a connection, pulling out an HDMI and plugging it back in will resync things, which is helpful. Also on our specific, especially the rack-mounted ATEMs, guys, cycling power it happens fairly often, especially as your ATEMs get older. You'll want to cycle the power. They will shut off due to heat. That's been an issue that I've had in the past. Try to give your ATEMs, especially if you have more than one of them, give them a little space between each other. Maybe run a fan back there. They do have internal fans, but they can run super hot, and they will shut down if the power gets, or the heat gets too much. So a lot of the times, my first thing, if I see no video on either the preview monitor or my program monitor, or my projectors or my live stream, I will just power cycle that ATEM first and foremost. So make sure to check your streams before they go to Facebook and YouTube or your website. Ahead of time. Make sure before you even go live that you're getting video to a program monitor that you can see physically. And then the next thing to do is, if you don't see video there, just pull out the plug, wait a couple seconds, let it cool down, and then plug it back in. And then that's where going to file and then restore is super important, because having that restore file, that everything's set correctly. In fact, that will even save these ProPresenter and the key settings for your lyrics, overlays, and these sorts of things. It'll save all your button pushes. The on-air button will be pushed in if you left it on when you saved, and your current program and preview settings will be also set, as well as